Vital Statistics. This is Kirk Bowles speaking.
Hey there, Kirk. I've got a question for you. I had left a message on your machine earlier. However,
okay.
Yeah, here's the question. There's a copyright holder on every single legal birth certificate. And I needed to find out who to speak with in order to get written permission to use the birth certificate. Because there is a copyright holder on it.
Okay, so to use a birth certificate of a specific individual, or I'm just thinking through. I wasn't aware that there's a copyright, but they are protected as confidential by state statute.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a little bit more background as to what you're working on would be helpful. And if I don't have the answer, I can certainly track that down.
Okay. Yeah, let me give you some background information as to the copyright holder.
Sure.
It's a corporation. The one who has the copyright on the birth certificate is it's called the Crown Corporation. And this is evidenced at a document entitled 1998 Crown Copyright in the Information Age.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you can Google. You can pull up a PDF on that. Page 29 near the bottom, it's specifically states that the birth certificate is copyrighted, also on page 31 of that same document. So we have a copyright holder on all birth certificates worldwide. So in order for me to even request the birth certificate, and then secondly to use it, I would have to have express written permission from the copyright holder or its agents in order to do that. Otherwise, I would be committing copyright infringement, which is a crime.
Sure.
Yeah, so this is very much of a legal thing. We're talking about the legal document. Anything legally created has a copyright on it. And this is not common knowledge, but nonetheless, it's a legal fact.
Okay. So I am not aware of those particular facts, and so I will have to pursue answer for you from our legal counsel here at the State Health Department as to what the answers would be for you. So that has not come up in my short period as the interim vital records registrar, and it's news to me that there is a worldwide copyright over all birth certificates used, and so
most definitely
that would be something I need to ask our legal partners about and get a response on.
I have a second question while you're at it, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay. The people within legal counsel, you're going to find that each one of those guys is a member of the legal society by means of a bar card. They're members of the bar, and they each have a bar card, which grants them privileges to be involved in legal things or processes.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us without membership to the legal society, my question to them would be, how can I do any legal thing or touch any legal document without the bar card?
Okay.
Do you see where I'm coming from?
I see where you're coming from. I am not an attorney or licensed myself, so I don't have an answer for you there. So
right. So here's an example that you put forward to these guys. When it comes to the birth certificate, a certified copy will be an actual legal document. It'll be a copy of the original. Sans a bar card, without a bar card, how would I be able to ever use that legally?
So there are provisions in, for instance, Colorado's statute that permit through law and through the authority conferred to the State Health Department and the Vital Records Registrar, it outlines what uses of those documents are permissible and which ones are not, as well as outlining who could be an individual defined as one who has a tangible interest in a particular document and thus is permitted to request and receive one so that it can be served in that legal capacity. Now, which individuals are permitted to both receive and request a certified copy of a birth certificate or a death certificate are prescribed both in state statute as well as Board of Health regulation. And so I'm uncertain how the copyright piece plays into that, as I have not ever been made aware that those were ever issues. But through state statute, again, certain individuals are permitted to request certain documents. Now, generally there has to be both a proof of identity of that person requesting a document as well as demonstration of tangible interest, and what that tangible interest is defined, is codified as well.
Well, now the state statutes are very specific to persons. Is that your understanding? Person, like the subject to state statutes are persons. Persons in point of legal fact are artificial entities or legal fictions. And so it all comes down to where is the authority, the legal authority for anyone who does not have the bar card to represent a person in order to get that birth certificate. If I were to go and try and get a birth certificate right now, I would have to represent a person on the birth certificate, such as the child's name. I would have to represent that I am that child, or that I am representing that child.
So per state statute, you can request a birth certificate, for instance, for a child, if you have a relationship to that child that, through statute and Board of Health regulation, is acknowledged as close enough in relation or having a tangible interest in relationship with that person, to where you can, after identifying yourself and your demonstrating that connection to that child, whether it's as a parent or sibling, those types of things, request and receive that document.
Let me just.
So the greater legal vagaries you're alluding to, again, are beyond my understanding of the legal philosophies behind that. So
right. Well, here's the deal: the child, on the birth certificate is an artificial entity. It is a legal fiction created legally by bar attorneys. So here I'm coming along. How could I say that's me, or I'm representing that legal entity? It's obviously not me. Bar attorneys created the birth certificate and everything on it. So it's not me. I'm not a piece of paper, obviously, nor am I legally authorized to represent myself as the child, the legal name on that birth certificate.
Sure.
So unless I get written permit from an attorney to use their legal creation, which is the birth certificate itself, I'm actually breaking the law in using that birth certificate, or even representing myself as a child, because I can't legally represent something that's not mine. And then on top of all that, you have a copyright issue.
Sure.
So hopefully,
so are you inquiring about trying to obtain a specific certificate in this case, or just the broader conversation that you're raising issues? I'm just, like I said, I don't have answers for the bulk of your questions right now. So
okay, it would eventually
get your contact information and get our folks to follow up with you, so we can discuss this with better information around here.
Yeah, to answer your question, it would be, at some point, it would become a specific birth certificate, but we can't get to the specific birth certificate issue unless we can get some legal authority extended to me, very specifically, because, when it comes to legal documentation, you can't know about it. Just the use of these things has to be legally authorized by some attorney out there. Non-attorneys cannot authorize the use of a legal document because they're not part of the legal society. They don't have legal authority to do so. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. So that's where I am.
I understand that's the argument being made. Yes.
Yeah. So I think you pretty much get the idea of how to convey this. Is there a particular name that you're going to be speaking to? A particular attorney?
Well, there is, and I'm going to likely ask. So it's our chief of our legal and regulatory compliance section here, who serves as our in-house legal counsel, and her name is Hause, A-N-N, last name H-A-U-S-E.
Okay.
And so I'll have to defer to her, and likely. I can give you her contact information as well.
That'd be great.
Much of what you're describing goes well beyond vital records, and so as well here. So
okay.
Let me provide you her direct phone number just so you have it, and then I will follow up with her and get your name and number, and see if she would be available to call you back at her earliest convenience.
Okay.
And bring me into the loop as well to the extent that I can assist. And her direct number is 303 692
okay.
3472.
All right.
And what was your name then?
Let me give you the information that you guys can look at, and it'll help better explain the position I'm in. There's a website, losethename.com. That goes into it, and also there's an incredible amount of discussion on this over the internet. You can Google legal name fraud, and it'll bring a lot of this into view. What is my name? Well, see, that's the issue. The name that I used to use up until about a year and a few months ago turned out to be a legal name on the birth certificate. I can no longer use that name because I have since then discovered that there's a copyright holder to that name. And so I just don't even use the name at this point, because to do so would be illegal.
Okay.
And so what I'm attempting to figure out here is, can we get written legal permission to use the birth certificate to get a driver's license or to get a passport?
Okay.
That's the main question for you and Ann.
Okay.
And let me give you an email. I'll give you an email where I can be contacted about this. It's legalnamefraud@gmail.com.
Legalnamefraud@gmail.com. Yeah. Okay. No, I have enough information to share some stuff with Ann. Is there a phone number that we can contact you at? Or would you prefer initial communication via email?
Yeah, I would prefer everything to be going by means of email to begin with. Okay. I can follow up in phone conversations after that if that's necessary. But that's the way I prefer it at this point.
Okay. And so, as the registrar, acting registrar here in Colorado, I would close saying that we do have a process by which individuals are permitted to request their own birth certificates. You are welcome to engage in that process by completing our online, either submitting a request online or showing up in person. Now, included in that will be requirements to provide documentation so that we issue the correct certificate to the correct people, thus reducing fraud and misuse of these as legal documents. Now, as you describe, I understand what you're describing, how there's questions about even our permissibility to use these documents for the purposes, and thus we're kind of at loggerheads, it sounds like, with being able to get you the document you want.
Yeah, well, look at it this way, Kirk. This is so funny. It's a catch-22 of epic proportions. In order for me to even request the birth certificate, I would have to provide you with a legal name on the birth certificate for on the child's name portion. And in order for
either the child's name or if it's your own that you're requesting, or if you're the parent of a child whose certificate you're requesting, providing the name of the parents as well as the child. Right,
but in order to do that, I would be infringing on copyright because I do not have express permit from the copyright holder on that legal document. You see where I'm coming from?
Okay. I see where you're coming from. And like I said, I've never heard of that copyright being in existence or being valid or enforced in any way. So that's part of the conundrum.
Yeah, enforcement is not an issue. Yeah, enforcement is not an issue. It's simply it's the honorable thing to do, regardless of penalty for copyright infringement, to just simply not infringe on copyright. It doesn't matter that there's not a penalty for it per se, but from where I stand, the way I do things is if someone owns an intellectual piece of property, I'm not going to play with it unless I were to get written permission to do so. I'm just above board on everything. Secondly, I can't play with, unless your attorney can help me on this, I can't play with legal documents because I don't have the bar card.
Correct, and I'm not permitted to provide legal advice myself. So
there we go.
From that, as an administrator of the requirements and authority found within state statute, we can assist. But what you're requesting goes above that. So
yeah. Well, I tell you what. Feel free yourself to email me if you have any further questions about this. Any information you can send my way to that email will be much appreciated.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll be reaching out. I'll be crafting a summary of our conversation and sharing it with Ann in our legal office here in just a little bit. At which point, we'll she'll help figure out what our best response is to let you know where we stand on this issue and what recourse there is for folks involved.
Okay. Thanks very much, Kirk. I enjoy talking with you.
Absolutely. You have a fine afternoon.
Okay. You too now.